These are Minecraft's most massively monstrous and minorly magic seeds discovered in 2025, and this first seed is one you have to see me load up if you want to believe. This is absolutely shocking. It is a 1-block Minecraft seed that actually happens natural. This is because of the fact that Minecraft seeds are deterministic with where you spawn, at least the very first time, which means you can guarantee that you will always spawn on a single block. Now, playing 1-block survival, especially if you want to play hardcore, is next to impossible in real Minecraft. Most people rely on mods and other additions to make this work, but if you want to play what might be Minecraft's hardest challenge, this is a good one for you. I will say it is technically possible to make it into that watering hole over there, but I've not been able to do this myself, so just keep in mind that if you want a massive challenge, this is the seed for you. But speaking of seeds for you, let's talk about seeds to do. Whereas at number 6 we have a seed that actually has something to do, because this is Minecraft's rarest ice biome. It is the Ice Spikes biome, and as you can probably tell from this spawn, it's a bit of a weird one. So this is kind of like a sky glue, but even crazier than sky glue seed. As you can see, we spawn all the way at the top of a giant pillar of ice, and if you want to make your way to the bottom, well, it's a 200 block journey to get there. There is water to help you protect yourself, but this basically exists as a massive abomination of how Minecraft ice spikes will generate, because they try to reach the top of the terrain plus a certain number of blocks that they're on. However, as you can see, when you have floating islands, you get things that are very weird to see, which is something delightful. But this is just number 6 because it's mostly about having a rare biome in the rarest way possible. But I love number 5 because it's something that makes you want to stay alive. But if you want a seed that's actually good, we've got plenty more picks, because seed number 5 is one that's very good if you want to actually stay alive. Let's be real, whenever we talk about rare and incredible seeds, the eye is drawn to the things that just look the most incredible, but ultimately what matters the most are seeds that will help you in some meaningful way, or at least are broken in a way that you can really get some value from, and this is a prime example. You literally spawn on top of a desert temple. This is an insane find by itself, because it means that all you have to do is break a single block. You don't even really need a pickaxe, it would certainly help, but breaking a single block will allow you to get down and then immediately get 4 chests that can contain iron, diamonds, emeralds, and more. There's also a mushroom biome just over there past spawn, and then there's a desert village right nearby which has camels and which has villagers to trade with, but also, of course, hay bales. Hay bales can be immediately turned into wood, the iron golem can be immediately turned into more iron, and by itself you might be saying, Toycat, this isn't broken, this is just 2 good structures combined. And yes, our standards are so high that so far you might not be impressed, but what happens if you go down here and let's say you do something a little silly? I would only recommend doing this if you are willing to stack yourself up, or you've got enough netherite armor and a shield that you can block this explosion. But if you made a silly mistake, as sometimes we all do, you would find a stronghold below. Look at this! How is that humanly possible? A stronghold that you can blow your way into directly from the desert temple. That's kind of nuts by itself, but it gets even more fun because if you run out into the hallway here, okay, we're gonna have to run past a lot of skeletons, you'll find that you actually need another explosion to get through here. This is absolutely beautiful. I love seeds that are broken in a way that actually present an interesting survival situation, and that's definitely what this one does. But in case you think like, well, actually, this is kind of just cheating, Toycat. This is far too much good to get from something in a seed. If instead you'd like to get something more unique, just not necessarily challenging, well, let's go to seed number 4. Because trust me when I say you don't know what is in store if you type in these digits. By the way, all of these will be in the description, alongside timestamps if you're too quick for even this video here. Look at this spawn. I am right next to an enderman, a bat, and a slime. Seriously, seed number 4 has so much in store, and I think that one of the most prime examples of this is that structure right there. I think already you could say, wow, a cave spawn, this deep of a cave, you could already say that's incredible. You could say, wow, and there's like a real challenge in how you're going to survive this. Then having a ruin portal makes it even more crazy, a ruin portal with some diamonds, but look at what is around the ruin portal. This is in fact the easiest way to jump out of your world in Bedrock because this is a giant bedrock hole. If you remove the ruin portal too, as you can easily do, if you remove this obsidian and this random collection of gates, you can have one of the biggest bedrock holes that can be naturally found, and so this is one that won't help you beat Minecraft. It's one that won't naturally help you do anything in Minecraft, but it is a great way to have access to something that most Minecraft worlds don't. And so if you're looking for a forever world spawn, but you want something weird and janky that in 5 years you'll look back at and people will be confused about, I'll be honest, this is desirable to me, but maybe if it is to you too, then this is the seed, because if you just cover up this cave, it wouldn't take that many blocks to cover most of this hole up. If you cover up this cave and make just a few holes, or even a minecart, you could have something as silly as a hole into the void that people wouldn't even know how to avoid because no one expects it, which is what makes it absolutely beautiful. But speaking of things nobody expects, do you know what makes this next seed special? Well, it certainly isn't the spawn, because this is a delightful desert. As you can see, we've got a mesa biome, we've got some more mesa biome, and then we've got some desert with, what do you know, some more mesa biome. But the thing that makes this seed truly unique is something that I just have to tell you about, because it's a desert well this close to spawn. I am always amazed when this 1 in 1,000 chance comes up early, because this is by far the most valuable structure in the game, and somehow it got even more valuable. So this is of course a great place to find what you can't find anywhere else, water in a desert biome. As you can see, the desert biome just has no water anywhere in it, and so having this structure is just wonderful. But it gets even better here because we've got ourselves some short dry grass, as well as a couple free pieces of sand, and even better, there's some suspicious sand at the bottom too. The desert well deal keeps on getting better and better, and it's the reason why Bedrock is better than Java, because they will spawn twice as often here. Oh, also, I think you might have heard about this, but this seed actually has something quite unique if you follow the ocean side of the seed, because just over there is a very tall piece of terrain. This is what happens when the noise value gets ridiculous, and if you happen to have a very tall piece of terrain, and you happen to have a pillager outpost that generates on it, well, the pillager outpost has to meet the height of that terrain, and it does so by having the bottom generate over hundreds of blocks. So this is the bottom of the land, this is the top of it, and as you can see, the pillager outpost is very, very tall as a result. This makes it kind of fun because if you wanted to do a Y200 survival, you could do it from a pillager outpost if you wanted to, or from the single block next to it, although I think that would be a little bit cruel. But what's most interesting is the fact that, yeah, this is the perfect pillager outpost, because I've always been annoyed at how pillagers will fall off and then start chasing you across the map, but these pillagers can never come and get you unless you go to them. And so if you've always wanted to have a pillager outpost which stays nice and out of view when you're not trying to use it, this is the one for you. Don't you love it? It's just ridiculous in a way that genuinely has some real gameplay value to those seeking it. It also has to be mentioned that there's a pillager outpost in the ocean over there. I figured this might technically be on some of the surface sand like over there, but nope, as you can see, this is a pillager outpost that just fully spawned in the ocean. I love this about Bedrock. There are rules about how structures are meant to spawn, and when those rules get bent a little bit, it's always fun, but sometimes those rules can just be entirely broken, which is how you get spruce woodland mansions, and how you get ocean pillager outposts with a creeper. Well, what a fun little bonus that is. Ever wanted to take down the pillager tower from the inside? Well, I'm just saying, this guy might provide that precise option. In fact, let me show you how useful this is. Wow, I'm in a pillager outpost right now, and it's going to be really painful. Oh, God damn it. Bedrock. When you play the Bedrock edition, you actually don't have cheats enabled by default when you're in creative, because there's enough players out there, clearly, who say, yeah, I'm playing creative mode, but cheats are a step too far for me. I'd hate to be able to switch to survival at any moment. Anyway, if you had yourself one of these, you could kill the pillagers with ease. But let's move on to the second seed now. Oh no, my grass! Whoa, would you look at that spawn? This is the second most broken seed I've seen this year, because as you can see, you spawn in a cave, which would already be something very notable, but then there's a bunch of sandstone here, and I don't know about you, but I don't think sandstone is meant to spawn in caves. Creepers, yes. Lava, yes. iron veins, well, that's a nice bonus, isn't it? But this is a fun case of what appears to be a desert temple that spawned inside of a cave. And I need to look at this desert temple because it's notably missing something, which I don't know, I can't help but feel like I'm meant to be seeing. But as you can see, it's a desert temple that weirdly has not fully generated in all of my years of Minecraft playing. Even the console edition, where structures would famously half generate because of the structure blocks, I've never seen a desert temple that failed to generate some of its walls. But here you can see precisely that's happened. And I'm guessing because we're at Y minus 56, if we dig through here, we're not going to find chests, but instead we're going to find, yep, I guessed that correctly, a hole into the void. How does this happen? I have so many questions. Well, I guess the answer to those questions is that technically the desert temple started generating up here. As you can see, weirdly enough, there's no reason that the rest of it didn't follow, but instead, how does this happen? Instead of generating the rest up here, it generated in a cave. Usually this is something you can explain by saying, well, where the rest of the temple would have generated is the terrain super low, but in this case, you can see where it perfectly would have fit, but for some reason, Minecraft stopped generating it. Usually when you see an issue like this, you can be almost guaranteed that it's like, oh, it's a one-time glitch, this isn't a seed, but this is something that you can actually get for yourself by typing in these digits. I love it. It's ridiculous, it's crazy, and honestly, it represents a really good challenge seed because if anyone tries to, if you die, you leave it permanently, which is kind of cool. You do get a little bit of light in, which is great, and also you get some really interesting diamond locations, which kind of encourage you to go through a bit of work if you want them. Also, like I mentioned, there is the giant iron vein, and so in a weird way, this is a challenge world that gives you all sorts of goodies you might not expect otherwise, including, again, limitless amounts of free diamonds, plus, just in case you want it, you could mine the rest of the desert temple out and you could leave yourself a hole to the void. Would you want to do that? I really don't know. But what I love to imagine is taking a bunch of glass and then filling the area so that you get kind of a preserved desert temple vibe. Just a few blocks makes a huge difference as to the vibes of this place. And honestly, it's the sort of thing that someone's going to assume that you built for weird or nefarious reasons. And what I love about that is the fact that you can use it for precisely those purposes if you want to. Or again, if you want to just appreciate the void hole, you can cover this with glass as well. And you can have a place because, you know, ultimately, one of the problems of the desert temple is that it functions as more of a place for loot than a place of worship. This is a place that you can come and worship the void, and just in case you feel like you want to join it, you can do precisely that. I mean, personally, it's something I'd want to avoid. And that's the exact opposite of what I'd say for the best seed, and let's be honest, you already know what this is. The most stunning broken seed found by Fragrant Result this last year has to be this, the 2 end portals in a trial chamber seed. And I'll be honest, I looked around this and I was mind blown at how good the spawn actually is. You spawn in a village next to a blacksmith with a ruined portal and a on-ground shipwreck nearby. There are some really interesting biomes nearby, and even better is the fact that this trial chamber is just below the spawn. Now what's interesting is I sent this seed to a good friend of mine who covers seeds, and their first thought was, wait a minute, aren't trial chambers meant to overwrite strongholds? And this is true when you look around the rest of the stronghold, but for whatever reason, this seed breaks even that rule, with 2 separate strongholds generating side by side, with their portals ending up perfectly in this trial chamber, resulting in this 2 end portals next to each other. And of course, I had to, you know, I know that people have lots of questions, and one of the most common ones with a seemingly obvious answer is, do they both go to the same place? And just for your interest, I decided to do that. Here is one portal.
Now this is me going through both
everything's
portals.
fine. Here is the other portal, and yes, you always go to the same end, no matter what the portal is, but the fact that you've never known the answer to that question, for some people, is because of the fact that strongholds are usually so far apart that people never bother with more than one, but this seed would allow you to do precisely that. I love weird and broken Minecraft seeds, and so as we look back across the 7, I do have to say that the reason that I think these seeds are something close to my heart, but maybe not to that of everyone else, is the fact that these are really cool seeds for doing something weird with your Minecraft world, but most people are looking for the more averagely good, which is why this was the most broken seeds of the year, and I guess we'll have to get round to the best Minecraft seeds of the year for actual Minecraft use. But if you want to play with the weirdest void holes, or you want to have the desert temple run experience, or indeed if you just love the concept of a very spiky spike or a 1 block challenge, this has been the video for you. And I guess I should just look at the views to understand that this isn't most people, but I hope that you all enjoyed this video regardless. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see our new and improved Seed Sunday. It's not every week, but it is a fun little series when it does come up, because I'll see you in the next one. Okay, goodbye.